Israel and Hamas entered a 4-day ceasefire with the Palestinian militants set to release a first group of hostages later in the day and increased aid to flow into the besieged Gaza Strip. Now, the truce's scheduled start is 7 a.m. That was 7 a.m. just over an hour ago, marked the first pause in a nearly 7-week-old war. So let's talk to Sarah Coates. She's in Tel Aviv in Israel, and we'll just get a better sense of what's going on. So, Sarah, it's now over 1 hour since the ceasefire began. What's happened? Any news on this? Any movement in relation to its implementation?
Hi, Leanne. Well, look, there certainly has been at this hour. It is unclear as to whether this ceasefire is actually holding. There were red alert sirens ringing out 15 minutes after it came into effect in the southern Israeli communities. These are air raid sirens that are usually associated with incoming rockets. We still haven't had any confirmation on this, whether it was a false alarm or whether they were indeed rockets, but we will get that information and bring it as soon as it comes to hand. Now, we're also hearing reports of potential artillery fire inside the Gaza Strip. This is also unconfirmed at this hour, but what we do know is the Israeli military posted on social media just before this came into effect saying that the war is not over, also dropping leaflets right across parts of the Gaza Strip warning residents not to go back home, not to go north, saying that this is still an active war zone. So look, certainly extremely tense on the ground, and many people, of course, right around the region will be desperately hoping that this ceasefire does in fact hold.
Yeah, and that's, I think, what people are watching for. 4 days, long time, over an hour ago that it has meant to have started. But I think what people are also watching for, and very closely, is the release of the hostages. So let's start on the hostages side from the Israeli hostages. When is it expected that they will be released?
So look, it's just after 8 a.m. local time now. They will be released at 4 p.m. local time. This is how it's expected to happen. There'll be 13 women and children handed over to the International Red Cross. They'll then be taken to the Rafah border crossing, which of course is that crossing that connects Egypt to the Gaza Strip, where they're handed over to Israeli military personnel. Now, these people will then bring them to a number of different hospitals across Israel, including here in Tel Aviv. 6 hospitals have been specially set up to deal with these people. They'll then have a medical assessment and then be transferred to an even different hospital, again, one that has been completely blocked off, that people need special access to. Now, it is at this time, Leanne, that the Palestinian prisoners will be released from jail. Now, we know that they'll be coming from 2 different prisons up in the north near the port city town of Haifa. So they'll be taken from these 2 facilities there and transferred to the West Bank, where they will then be processed. So look, it is around the next few hours that we can expect to see also hundreds and hundreds of aid trucks roll into the Gaza Strip from the Rafah crossing, carrying vital supplies for these 2.3 million people inside the Strip that so desperately need it. Leanne.
We talk about, let's carry on the aid trucks, because I know that some have already seen at least 200 trucks that are heading in that direction. These are just reports that I am reading. Obviously, you're there, you know a lot more than I do. But have we sort of seen this already happening, that they are getting ready, they are getting prepared to start making their way into Gaza?
Certainly. Well, look, trucks have really been lining up at the Egyptian side of the Rafah border crossing now for this entire time, for weeks and weeks and weeks. They're just basically waiting to be given the go-ahead to be able to move through that crossing into the Gaza Strip, to be able to deliver these goods. But really, the difficult thing over the past few weeks for these aid groups in actually getting this aid out to these people has been a lack of fuel, because obviously without the fuel, they can't run their vehicles and that type of thing to actually distribute this aid. So With this ceasefire, with this deal, it means that the aid now will actually go right across the Strip, not just to these southern parts that the Israeli military has been asking these residents to go to. The aid will be distributed right across the Gaza Strip. That is according to the deal, although it remains to be seen what will happen here.
Let's just very quickly turn our attention to the Palestinian prisoners. We've spoken about the release of the Israeli hostages, how that is meant to be sort of happening. In terms of the Palestinian prisoners, let's talk to that release. Are they going to be pretty much so at the same time, and the rules around that release?
So, look, we do understand that they will be released once these Israeli captives are back on Israeli soil. This is when these 40 or so odd Palestinian prisoners will be transferred from these two different facilities in Haifa in the north and then taken to Ramallah. It is then where they will be processed, they'll be identified, and they will be then driven to their villages or where their families live. So, look, it is a 3-for-1 swap. We do know that there will be 150 Palestinian prisoners and 50 Israeli captives. But in saying that, if this ceasefire does hold and if Hamas can actually locate more women and children captives inside the Gaza Strip, we do need to remember that it doesn't know where everybody is because a number of other Palestinian factions have taken some captives. So if it can locate more people in the Strip, this ceasefire could be extended by a day for every 10 captives that it says it will release extra. So we could end up seeing up to 300 Palestinian prisoners being released. That's if this ceasefire is extended to the maximum 10 days.
All right, we'll leave it there, Sarah. Thank you. Thanks very much for the update. Sarah Coates is in Tel Aviv in Israel giving us that update. So the ceasefire has begun. That's what reports are saying. This is meant to go on for 4 days and perhaps a maximum of 10 days. It is a ceasefire. It's not the end of the one. That's what everybody is making sure they've heard. So the hostages and the prisoners, we'll see when that release takes place. But this is a very, very important story to watch today.